I'm building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and each and every Thursday, I come to you with my buddies, my friends, my compadres, mis amigos, the Alliance Guys. And with me, of course, is our very own DKM. Welcome to the show, DK. How are you, sir?
I am alive. How are you?
I'm also alive, and I'm kicking. I've got a busy weekend ahead of me, sir.
Why?
So Friday night, I'm heading down to.
No. I didn't ask what.
Oh,
why?
The pursuit of watching as much wrestling as I can.
Okay, now you can say what.
The pursuit of watching Carl the Machine Gun Anderson and Drew Galloway, the Good Brothers, down in Mexico, down in south of the border. Gonna be checking out some The Crash. I'm curious if I'm gonna see Andrade wrestle. I'm curious if the Good Brothers are supposed to be in action. They didn't list who their opponents are, but another interesting thing about The Crash is that the current Crash Tag Team Champions is El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., who you may have seen on WWE programming recently, like NXT or When Worlds Collide. So, what's that?
Never heard of him.
And his partner is El Gallinero. I don't remember his, it's like El Gallinero, something like the Chicken Hunter or something like that. I don't remember what his name is, but they're the tag champions, and I'm wondering if they're going to take on the Good Brothers, and if that's the case, that would be a very interesting tag team. And you got Carl the Machine Gun Anderson and Luke Gallows in your neck of the woods. I see that Double D said, "Is Crash the promotion Robert?" Can't pronounce that. Carpelas helps run, or maybe Mike Chioda. No, the Crash is a lucha libre promotion based in Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico, and they use a surprisingly amount of AAA talent. Of course, there's a lot of lucha in Baja California, especially in Tijuana, and it kind of operates almost exclusively out of the Auditorium de Tijuana. So. To answer your statement, Devin, no, it's not the same. It's not the promotion that Robert Carpelas or Mike Chioda work with. It's something else completely different. Oh, so that's my Friday night. My girls are going to be in San Diego while I cross the border. Then on Saturday, we're going to drive to Arizona to see the Navajo Warrior retirement match where he takes on Samoa Joe.
Never heard of him.
You son of a bitch. I know you've heard of him.
Maybe. Sounds vaguely familiar.
It's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Really?
I don't know if I've ever mentioned that on the air.
I knew it, but I don't know if you've ever mentioned it on the air or not.
No, I say it all the time, but it makes me laugh that maybe I don't say it here. Maybe I save that for when it's just Jay. But yeah. And now
I probably just have something automatically set to tune it out.
That sounds pretty good. That's what you do a lot.
I'm sorry, what?
Exactly. I had salad for dinner. What'd you have?
Soup. You're interrupting my V for Vendetta movie.
Well, November 5th was yesterday.
Well, I know, but I was watching the gunpowder plot on yesterday.
That's not my problem.
So now I have to watch.
I found at least Williams art in some of mine. I missed.
What was that?
Preston came in.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, so hey, Double D and I had the same dinner tonight, except for he had pizza. I just had a salad. I had chicken salad. We do a lot of meal substitution. My wife and I are both trying to watch our figures, so to speak. So instead of doing like ranch dressing, we do like Greek yogurt with ranch seasoning.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds bad, but it actually isn't. And like
I like neither Greek yogurt nor ranch.
If you don't like ranch, then you're certainly I can't help you there. But it's pretty tasty. It's a good substitute. Plus, it loads it up with protein. Like my dinner tonight had like 56 grams of protein. I'm feeling like a beast. That man Batman asked if he could get a yeet. Yeet. I only did that because that man Batman drew a pretty cool picture of me that's now on TikTok. If you guys haven't seen it, go to my TikTok page. It's pretty cool. What's that?
I said, what's TikTok?
You used to be on there. I used to see you dancing on there.
I have never danced on TikTok. I think I've done a couple of those, what I would look like as a character from X, or, X movie, X show, something.
Yeah. I didn't think you meant the actual social media site.
You never know.
I won't. I'm going to stop on that because I don't feel like that's a good one to talk about. So there's a lot of people in the chat have already brought up the national title, and I want to wait.
Never heard of it.
I want to wait till Jaden gets on to talk about the NWA national title because it's kind of a surreal experience hearing AEW mention the NWA in any shape or way or form, because the last time the NWA and AEW were mentioned in the same sentence, it was with regards to this Shockwave television show that AEW was starting to put together. The NWA had a brief miniseries at the end of 2020, maybe 2021. I don't know. Now I'm getting my dates mixed up. Basically, it was a reformatted version of Primetime Live that they called NWA Shockwave.
Yes, where it was only their matches.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and what's funny is it wasn't just their matches, by the way, because they aired some of the footage. Like there was a match with James Storm and Chris Masters, and there was one other person, and it wasn't that wasn't an NWA match. That was just what Dave booked, and they ended up using that one too. That whole situation was kind of weird.
Well, those two wrestlers were what's his name's wrestlers.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just talking about the thing. I mean, obviously Corgan had some right to it. So,
well, and look, at the end of the day, they were promoting NWA matches, and I don't know if it was an issue of he had a right to it, or if Dave didn't want to pursue it, or if it was just so toxic that it was just a bad look all the way around to just let it go. Personally, I would have done more with it. Double D said Camille defended against Layla Hirsch. That was later, and that wasn't from the Primetime Live series. The Primetime Live series, Camille defended against Heather Monroe. Actually, she didn't defend against Heather Monroe. She just wrestled Heather Monroe. Yes. She wasn't champion yet.
Thunder Rosa was champion.
Thunder Rosa defended against Priscilla Kelly, who would become Gigi Dolan. And I think she also wrestled basically the wrestler who became Cora Jade.
She beat Serena Deeb. Wrestled one or two others, then lost to Serena Deeb. where she had already lost the rematch to Serena Deeb at an AEW taping.
I am going to look it up here real quick because I am now perplexed and I need to know. We're talking about Thunder Rosa specifically on the Primetime Live series.
I think so.
Okay. Let me see. And first of all, Thunder Rosa, hell of a competitor. I hate the fact that we don't see her wrestle as much as we used to.
Don't get injured. That seems to be the number one rule.
Okay, so Thunder Rosa, while working for Primetime Live, lost to Serena Deeb. She lost the title to Serena Deeb on an episode of Primetime Live.
Yes.
She defeated Priscilla Kelly, and then on the 7th episode, lost the title to Serena Deeb.
I guess she beat Deeb in AEW.
Yeah.
Lost to Deeb in
Primetime Live,
which was the shocker one. That was the one nobody was expecting. So, and then have already lost to Deeb in a rematch for the title.
So, since we're here, the first episode of Primetime Live was Eli Drake defeating Jordan Cruz in a dark match. Then we had Hammerstone, who was the West Coast Pro Heavyweight Champion, defeated EJ Sparks. We had Jordan Clearwater defeat Will Allday. Camille defeated Heather Monroe. And the Tribe, Hawaiian Lion and Navajo Warrior, went to a draw with the Wolf Zaddies, a time limit draw. Chris Dickinson defeated Jordan Cruz.
An 8-minute and 32-second time limit draw.
9 minutes and 31 seconds.
I don't know. I timed that thing.
Okay, well, this is what Cage Match is going with, so I don't have the notes. Dan Joseph defeated Levi Shapiro in a 2-minute, 31-second match. Maybe they should have just cut that match. Dan Joseph and Levi Shapiro. Anyways, and then Nick Aldis defeated Mike Bennett. That was the first night, and then things went awry from there. Then the second night, we just went over. Let me see here. I'll bring it up again. And then the second night, Kevin Martinson defeated Danny Limelight. Eli Drake defeated Watts. The Real Money Brothers, Clutch, Kasura, and Sugar Brown defeated the Friendship Farm, which was Jervis Cottonbelly and Robin Shaw. And then Carl Fredericks defeated Slice Boogie. Thunder Rosa defeated Priscilla Kelly. And it's kind of interesting as I'm just reading these people's names. Like a lot of these people ended up working for the NWA down the road. And then, you know what? I'm going to go back to this because I saw Shockwave Part 1 and Part 2 and Part 3. So the matches that they would use for Shockwave was Eli Drake versus Jordan Cruz. That was a dark match that they had filmed, and they ended up using that. Camille defeating Heather Monroe, and Nick Aldis defeating Mike Bennett. So that was the first episode of Shockwave, which again was just repackaged, a repackaged Primetime Live. And then Camille defeated Simone Sherry. She's also known as Princess Aussie and WoW. That was also a dark match. That was actually recorded the night before when they were just testing out the schematics, the building. They were testing out the effects, and they actually recorded that match. Eli Drake defeats Watts, and then Thunder Rosa versus Priscilla Kelly. So that's a Camille versus Simone Sherry match. That never aired on Primetime Live. That was, I guess, essentially recorded just for Shockwave. Allison Kay defeated Nicole Savoy. The Pope and Eric Watts defeated Effie and Zicky Dice. And Trevor Murdoch's defeated Aaron Stevens. And that was the third episode of Shockwave. And I don't think there was anything more after that. So, anyways, that's kind of interesting, right?
Always.
Was that on the UWN app? Devin asked. No, that was on Primetime Live. In fact, I think you could still even order them and watch them on Triller. But yeah, that wasn't on their app, or that wasn't on the UWN app. I don't even know there was a UWN app. that was what they aired on their pay-per-view series. And then Steve G said Heather Monroe's back. I haven't seen Heather Monroe in a while. The last time we saw her wrestling, she was teaming with what's her name? Ray Lynn. That's Sam Adonis's wife, and they were the Hollywood Blondes working for the NWA. Steve G, I don't know what you mean by getting that kickback from Race Internet. I'm sorry you're seeing it so much. I apologize for that, but no, I don't know. We got Jaden just joined the stream.
Never heard of him.
He's a good guy. And then over on TikTok, Bane says, I ain't heard Trevor Murdoch since 2003. Well, my friend Bane, if you stick around long enough, you'll know that Trevor Murdoch is a two-time NWA National Champion. No, one-time NWA National Champion, two-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and a one-time NWA World Tag Team Champion.
And a Crockett Cup winner, I think, too.
Yes, he did win the Crockett Cup. And Jaden, we kind of been dragging our feet, and I know, like you always say, hey, just keep going. But the hot topic tonight, everyone wants to know what our opinion is. But there's a lot of discussion going on about the NWA and this national title that, incidentally enough, AEW is reintroducing a national championship. And we kind of talked about this a little bit offline, but of course, I think people want to hear our opinions on it. And so I'm going to let you guys talk about it first. But, you know, they announced on AEW programming that they're going to have a national championship. They made the comparisons to the original national championship that was featured on TBS and saying that this is kind of like somehow connected to that title belt, which it in fact is not. The correlation just isn't there. And you guys kind of went into that last night as we were discussing. DK, tell us about why this national title is not the AEW NWA National Championship. Sorry, the AEW National Championship has no direct correlation to the NWA National Championship.
Okay, there have basically been 3 versions of the National Heavyweight Championship within the NWA. Georgia Championship Wrestling was the original one, and despite what Austin Idol says, the original National Heavyweight Champion was actually Jack Briscoe, who was, I don't remember if he won a real tournament or if it was a fake one, but it was, they put on a former world champion to up the prestige of the belt, so to speak. And so that's the one that, like, any old schooler, old timer knows. And that title ran basically until the Briscoe brothers, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, sold their share of Georgia Championship Wrestling to Vince McMahon, WWE, and what became famously known as Black Saturday. The Spoiler was the national champion at the time, and he actually went to WWE and wrestled a couple times as the national heavyweight champion.
As the NWA National Champion?
They just called him the national heavyweight champion.
Got it.
And kind of like when Les Thornton, who was the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion in the United States, he also went WWE, where they called him the World Light Heavyweight Champion, even though he was using the same belt. It was weird. And both of them, the title just faded away and they became jobbers or left. So Ole Anderson then formed Championship Wrestling from Georgia, where he kind of ignored the Spoiler and claimed that Ted DiBiase regained the title. And he didn't actually have a national championship belt. I don't know if the one Spoiler took with him was the new version or not, but he just used one of the tag team belts as the championship. and one of the new tag team belts as a championship. And DiBiase eventually lost it to Ron Garvin. While Garvin held it, there was the big buyout where Crockett took over Championship Wrestling from Georgia. So it went from Garvin to Black Bart to Terry Taylor to Buddy Landell to Dusty Rhodes to Tully Blanchard to Wahoo McDaniel, who all in the course of just over a year, who eventually lost in a unification match to the United States Heavyweight Champion Nikita Koloff. And then the title disappeared from NWA history until the third version of the title was born as a board-controlled belt back in the, what was it, Pro Wrestling Organization? Is that what they were called?
Yes.
Back in the Pro Wrestling Organization days. And so, and then that linkage of the title is what's currently going on today.
Right. And that's, I have that one actually. That's Big Slam became the champion after the, I believe it was a tournament. He lost the title to Salvatore Sincere. He went vacant. Then Doug Gilbert won the title. Stevie Richards, Doug Gilbert. The title went vacant. Don Brody had the title briefly. Then Kevin Northcutt. Then Stone Mountain. Then Terry Knight. Brody again with a second run. Title vacated again. Kevin Northcutt. This is when I started getting into the NWA. Kevin Northcutt was the champion. Then he lost to Hot Stuff Hernandez. There was Ricky Murdoch, Spider. The belt went vacant again. Then Big Bully Douglas, Corey Williams, friend of the show, Chance Prophet. Then the title got vacant when he was injured. Pepper Parks, Crusher Hansen, Brandon Kay, Crusher Hansen, Phil Shatter, that was a big one. Chance Prophet, Tokyo Monster Cahagas. Then the title went vacant when he won the NWA World's Heavyweight title. So then that title went in a tournament. Damian Wayne won it. Then Vordell Walker. Damian Wayne won it for a second time. Phil Monahan. Then Lou Marconi. Phil Monahan for a second time. Marconi for a second time. Monahan for a third time. Marconi for a third time. Then our old friend, rest in peace, Jack Stain, who he had to vacate the title when he was injured. Eric Andrews. Then the title was vacated another time. That would give us John Saxon, Greg Anthony, Mustang Mike, Greg Anthony, Jake Logan, Greg Anthony, Damian Wayne, Cahagas, and Cahagas was the last NWA National Champion until the Lightning One era when Willie Mack won the title.
Slight update on that one, though. Initially, it wasn't a board belt. It was promoted by Dennis Carluzzo. It eventually became a board belt from that point forward, but it initially wasn't a board-controlled belt. It was one of the many belts that Dennis Carluzzo brought back, like the United States Tag Team and everything else, because he was trying to recapitalize on anything that was the NWA at the time.
It was under Doug Gilbert that it became a board belt.
Yeah.
That makes
My
sense.
second reign, I think.
I'm not sure which reign, but I do know it was under Doug Gilbert.
And then, of course, real quick, as DK actually knew this by heart, I couldn't remember anything, but Willie Mack then lost the title to Cabana. Cabana lost it to James Storm. Storm lost it back to Cabana. Aaron Stevens took the belt off of Cabana. Then Trevor Murdoch. Then Chris Adonis. The belt was vacated when Adonis wanted to challenge for the world's title in a tournament or a battle royal to win that opportunity. Adonis then regained the title in a very short tournament. He lost the belt to Anthony Mayweather, a.k.a. Crimson. Jack Stain became a two-time NWA National Champion by defeating Crimson and then losing the belt to Scion. Scion would drop the belt to EC3. EC3 would vacate the title to challenge for the world's title, which gave Silas Mason the opportunity to become the new national champion in a triple threat match. He would also vacate the title to challenge for the world's heavyweight title. However, he was unsuccessful. Tom Latimer would win a series of matches to become the new national champion. He would vacate to challenge for the 10 pounds of gold and would make do on that challenge at the 76th anniversary show. Mims would be crowned the new national champion at that same event, and Mike Mondo is legitimately the first person to beat a champion to win the title since EC3 beat Scion to win the belt.
2.5 years
EC,
ago.
can you repeat yourself, DK?
2.5 years ago was the last time that somebody beat the champion to win the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hated that whole. It is not a TV title. It's not a Money in the Bank title. It is bad booking, in my opinion, and I will state that 1,000 times. But they should not vacate that title. The only time they should vacate it is if they win the world title.
I agree.
Or they're injured. That happens sometimes too, you know. But the only time they should willingly vacate is if they won the world heavyweight title. Other than that, I hate that whole stupid rule. Yeah.
Now, Jaden, why is Tony Khan trying to piggyback off the legacy of the NWA?
Because he's a mark. He used to watch a lot of television and trade a lot of tapes, and that's what he thinks is cool. He wanted to be an NWA promoter. He wanted to be that kind of person and have the territories and have these championships. That's why he's got 20,000 belts, because he probably retires them and sleeps with them naked in his room or whatever weird stuff that he does. But in reality, because he's a belt mark and because people nowadays think a bunch of belts mean you're a successful company, and that is completely wrong. And he just wants to tie that in there because he wants to make his company look and sound bigger because he's on TBS. So he wants to try to hold on to that so people think that he is the second coming of WCW.
Is that how you feel?
Good.
Say what you're going to say, DK. I'm sorry.
I said he's not that good to be the second coming of WCW.
He's the second coming of a former WCW booker who started a little bit of this controversy. I love that. I love using that phrase on that word, but he's the second coming of Vince Russo in some ways. But yeah.
The next, I guess, I'm curious as to what you think, DK, because obviously the three of us are huge historically NWA fans. That title has significance to people like us. AEW doesn't have the same audience. We know that. We know AEW's audience really isn't the NWA's audience. Why is he compelled to use those three letters?
Well, the interesting thing is he didn't.
Okay.
If you listen to the thing where he's announcing and stuff like that, he never once brings up the organization. He only brings up the title and that the title was there on TBS. And he might have said Georgia Championship Wrestling. I don't remember. He certainly didn't say World Championship Wrestling. He certainly didn't say NWA. He just talked about seeing the national title on TBS, which would have been WTBS at the time.
Yeah.
And everything. So how he's going to bring it back. And it's kind of like the same way he makes it talk like there's a territory system, even though there's not.
Right.
Because he goes, well, you know, New Japan wants to book AEW champions, and CMLL wants to book AEW champions, and ROH wants to book, which is him, wants to book, you know, AEW champions. So somehow by creating this title, now he has a title that can be defended in different promotions, which I suppose his world title could be too, but we don't talk about that.
I've seen personally, because I do watch AEW from time to time. I would never say I'm an AEW diehard. I don't consider myself a sicko, but I will say this, man, like I do enjoy the product from time to time. And I've seen CMLL titles defended in AEW. I've seen AEW titles defended elsewhere. I've seen New Japan titles defended in AEW. And I've seen, I don't understand why it's like this is a barrier now that they need to create a title to be defended in the territories, when I think pretty much all the titles can be defended in other promotions. We've seen ROH titles defended on AEW live events and live programming, live TV, and pay-per-views. So it's like, well, and even back before AAA became a WWE property, I'm almost positive that I saw Vikingo defend the AAA Mega Championship in AAA. Am I crazy? I'm going to look that up while you guys talk about it.
No, I mean, you're not. And in fact, I actually think in some ways this was an answer to WWE's big, I can't remember what they're calling it, Go for the Gold or something event, where they're going to have title matches from AAA and TNA and NXT and all that jazz.
So, real quick, go ahead, and then I'm going to interrupt.
I was going to say, interesting fact. Is it Ethan Page?
Yeah.
Who's the North American champion in NXT?
Yeah.
He and
Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green just won the
mixed champions.
The mixed tag team championships, which were once held by Sammy Guevara and
his wife.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you? Yes?
Mello. That's her name.
Tay Mello? Yeah.
Mello. Are they still together?
Yeah, they have a kid.
Well, that doesn't mean
nothing.
Together.
Sorry. Yes, they're still together. Okay. Real quick.
But, well, anyway, my thing is, I mean, I knew they had a kid. I just didn't know if they were still together. Anyway, so that tag team, this, who had ever heard about it, tag team championship has now been on AEW programming and WWE programming. Think about that.
Okay, and well, to take it a step further, just as Vikingo as the AAA Mega Championship from 2021 to when he lost it in 2024, I think he actually lost it in 25. But anyways, he won the title by defeating Bandito, Bobby Fish, Jay Lethal, and Samurai del Sol at Triple Mania 2021. Then he would defeat Laredo Kid. He would defeat John Hennigan, a.k.a. John Superstar. I think he's called Johnny Elite now. I'm not sure what he's called in AEW. Then he defeated against Flamita and Laredo Kid. He defended against Ray Phoenix at Triple Mania last year. Defeated Adam Brooks in Australia. Defended against Bandito again in Mexico. Then defended the title at Warrior Wrestling in South Bend, Indiana. Defended the title against Black Taurus and Commander at the Globe Theater during WrestleCon. Defended the title against Commander at ROH Supercard of Honor 2023. Then back to Mexico. Then on AEW Rampage, he defeated Dralistico kept the Mega Championship. Again at AAA, or again at AEW in San Diego, where he defended against Dralistico and Commander. Then defended in Mexico against Kenny Omega. Then did some matches in Australia, did some matches in ROH's Final Battle. That was in Garland, Texas. He defeated Black Taurus. And then Rampage 124 defeated Black Taurus in Oklahoma City. So I guess what we're saying is that the Mega Championship had been featured on a lot of AEW programming and now is a WWE property. That's kind of wild too.
It wasn't that long ago that I think it was on TNA.
Did it end up on TNA Wrestling as well?
A while ago when TNA was working with AAA.
I'm sure you're right, but let's see. Kenny Omega had the title for a while, and he only defended in Mexico and in AEW. And then before Kenny Omega, it was Phoenix, and he did it mostly with just AAA. And then Jeff Jarrett had the title, but only in AAA. And then
I think he had it back when he was working with TNA too. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then this was like in 2018. And Ray Wagner, and then Johnny Mundo, only in AAA. I'm almost positive you're right. I remember it being in TNA, but maybe not. We know that Alberto El Patron defended it on Lucha Underground. And I guess that's it. Like I don't see anything that says specifically AAA. I mean TNA wrestling. King Sean Mega says AAA Mega Champion was on Lucha Underground and Impact. I don't disagree, but it's just not listed on Cage Match, which is wild because you think it would.
Everything is cage match. It's the be all end all of wrestling. What are you talking about?
It's not always right. Sometimes they forget things.
Well, getting back to the national championship, though, this is the only reason why I know there's a worse booker than Billy.
Shit.
And think about this. There's the AEW World Championship.
Yes.
The AEW Unified Championship, which is the unification of the AEW International Championship and the AEW Continental Championship. The International Championship originally started out as what, the All Pacific or All Atlantic or something like that.
Atlantic. It was the All Atlantic Championship because I think it was supposed to be specifically like a UK title, and it was supposed to cross the Atlantic, and then they made it the international title.
Right, because right after they made it, they talked about it being defended in Japan, and so it was one of those stupid things. So, and of course, the much forgotten one-time second title in the land was the TNT Championship. So now he's adding the national champion. So for people keeping score, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 championships, even if you count the unified as kind of a separate championship, and you remember the All Atlantic Championship. So now they're adding the national championship, and that doesn't even include the Ring of Honor titles, which has a TV championship, a pure championship, and a world championship of its own. And hopefully I'm not forgetting anything.
There was the Owen Hart Tournament Championship too.
Yeah, that's weird because it's not really defended. They just do it once a year and give them a belt. And
it's kind of like the King of the Ring title, isn't it?
King of Hearts title, maybe.
Well, no, I just mean like the equivalent to the WWE, like the King of the Ring. It's not even a real title. It's a crown, and it's a title, but not a belt. Where AEW made it into a belt, but it's basically just saying this guy won the tournament, so we handed him a title belt.
Right, and it's one of the 14, 17 belts that Mercedes has. It's never defended. It's just a belt. So I don't know what point that goes on to much, and you need to do away with all those.
Yeah, and look, it's interesting. So here's my hot take on it, right? Which is not much of a hot take. I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. They took 2 separate mid-card titles to make them into one upper mid-card title. The international and the continental title at one point, which was also partnered with the New Japan Strong title that Eddie Kingston had. All of it was just, hey, these are mid-card titles that don't really carry much weight. And then they took those 2 titles to elevate the championship for a person, but it's still not it's not on equal footing with the AEW World Championship. It's still below. So it's not like how there's a Raw title and a SmackDown World Heavyweight title in the WWE. There's one World's Heavyweight Champion, one singular World's Heavyweight Champion in AEW. So I don't understand what the point was to unify that belt to make it slightly more important if you're just going to incorporate another championship title. And I feel like you were tiptoeing on it. The WWE on the active main rosters, and we're talking SmackDown and Raw, there's over 11 championship titles. AEW and Collision and Dynamite, there are 11 titles. And to me, it's like, why do we have so many participation trophies? What makes a world champion or any champion important is that not everyone ever claims that glory. Like, remember when Rowdy Piper won the Intercontinental Championship in the WWE, WWF during that feud? I think he ended up losing it to Bret Hart. And at the time, that was like he never won the world title, and that was like his biggest accomplishment within the WWE. Even though he had main evented WrestleMania and had been a big time draw for the company, he was never a world's heavyweight champion, but he had the Intercontinental title, and that kind of solidified him as being a top tier wrestler. You didn't need to give every single, like, Hillbilly Jim never won the Intercontinental Championship. Hillbilly Jim, I don't think, won any titles in his WWE career. And he was still a legendary wrestler. And when you look at like WCW, like you didn't have to put a belt on every single talent to get them over. I can't remember the title that Jake the Snake held on WCW or in the WWE. And these guys were like hell of really good talents. Rick Rude eventually would become the WCW World Heavyweight Champion briefly, the NWA World Champion briefly. But this whole concept of everybody needs a title to get over, that's so foreign to me. It doesn't make sense. And I kind of see our very own NWA kind of falling into that situation too, where, we don't need this many titles. Like right now, and this episode of Power kind of showed it too. Like you had the Chicago champion, and you had the Texas champion, and you had the Midwest champion, and you had the Mid-American champion. All of these guys were in a match to try to become the number one contender for the national title. And it's like, why do we have that much? Why do we need that many titles? It's not like the NWA there's a promotion running every single night. I feel like the NWA could take a lesson from what the WWE is doing wrong and what AEW is doing wrong, and not buy into having hundreds of title belts and maybe limiting the belts. But then bringing this all back to the national title and Tony Khan, I feel like there might be some animosity between AEW and the National Wrestling Alliance, considering the fallout from the Pretty Empowered pay-per-view, and subsequently both companies trying to cement the copyright for the Shockwave name. That was AEW was developing an additional television program that was going to be called Shockwave. The NWA, had ran a brief miniseries called Shockwave on YouTube and ended up using that as the name of a signature live event in Forney, Texas. And just to me, it seems like
twice. They used it twice.
They used it twice?
I think so.
I think only one time. I think they did Shockwave in 2025 this year. It's like the first event of the year. And I don't think they did.
I thought they had done it one more time. Maybe
you could be right.
Yeah, I could be wrong too. But for some reason, I was thinking they had done another signature live event.
I'm going to look that up while you guys again, the NWA National Championship, it's not even the top prize of the NWA. I feel like AEW has loads of mediocre mid-card titles. Why go with that national title name, though?
Because they can't use international, and they can't use intercontinental because that's too associated with the WWE. And so they went with the national because the national champion is the champion of whoever nation it's being defended in. So if you're in Japan, it's a Japan national title. If you're in the United States, it's the United States national title.
And similarly, the NWA historically had that, the U.S. Championship was one of the top mid-card titles for Jim Crockett Promotions. As DK was describing earlier, that title was unified with the national championship to become the U.S. title. And then as Jim Crockett Promotions was sold to WCW, the title was rechristened the WCW United States Championship, and now that is the WWE United States Championship. And we never, when the NWA was getting ready to crown a second-tier title, they could have went with the U.S. Championship name. Hell, the belt is a U.S. Championship, originally designed U.S. Championship replica. And so they didn't go with that U.S. title name to kind of separate themselves from the competition, kind of say, hey, the WWE already has a U.S. title. In fact, NXT had a North American title. Historically, I said U.S. and that was the North American, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying anyways. The North American title for the NWA was always a very big, prominent title, but NXT came to the dance first with the North American Championship. So when they crowned their title, it was the NWA National Championship, throwing back to, again.
Well, one of the biggest things also was that IWGP came out with the United States Championship around the same time.
Okay.
And so it was kind of like, well, there are too many United States Championships. This is unique. And of course, then MLW came out with the National Championship, but they decided to market theirs in a way that was well done because they called it the Openweight Championship.
Right.
And that was on one of my favorite openweight national champions was Hammerstone.
Did he?
And that started him in their prominence.
Did he? Who beat Davey Richards for that title?
Davey Richards was Mid-American, wasn't he? I mean, the middleweight.
No, he held the national. I don't remember.
Now I'm gonna.
I don't think he was national champion. I think he was the middleweight champion.
Because that's what he was. That's what he was when he faced Silas.
Yeah, so Davey Richards, and I'm looking it up right now, as MLW National Openweight Champion, and he lost the title to John Hennigan.
Oh,
but he speaking of the national title, that title was defended at Hard Times. That title was defended in New Japan against Rocky Romero. It was defended. Let's see. Okay, so yeah. It was a New Japan event in the United States, but that title was, again, as Davey Richards was champion, was defended against Colby Carino for, and Davey Richards won the title by defeating Alex Kane and then lost the title to John Hennigan. Hennigan would lose it to Jacob Fatu, then Ricky Shane Page, then my friend, Bad Dude Tito, Matthew Justice, Ultimo Guerrero, and now Blue Panther, 6,300-year-old Blue Panther. All right. I thought that was funny. How old is
Ricky Shane Page?
Yeah, he's a hardcore guy.
Yeah. By the way, Blue Panther is 65 years old. Like, you literally old enough to retire in the United States. He's been wrestling for 47 years. Started training the year I was born, a month before I was born. That's amazing.
So you're saying you're old?
I'm saying I'm old. I'm saying that Blue Panther's a lot older than that. I actually got to see him live in Mexico when I was there at the Arena Colisol. He didn't have the mask on, and this was like 2 or 3 years ago, so he had already lost the mask. And one thing I kept noticing is that he was licking his lips a lot. And someone later told me that's because people with dentures tend to do that a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. You learn something new every day, right?
Yeah. I will say, though, and I know this is probably going to get me heat, and I'm not here to make friends anyway, so I don't care. But why isn't everybody giving Idol some flowers right now? I don't mean Austin Idol. I mean Brian Idol. He's the only person who's sitting there trying to defend the NWA. I mean, not the only one. I know I've seen Mondo promoting that he's the real national champion and, that he is a big deal. But, yeah, he should be talking about – he shouldn't be the only one talking about, but he is the main one talking about the NWA and trying to create something. And again, NWA, you're giving a gift right now. You're giving a gift. First, you were given one with the bad booker that's now running the clown show. and then you were on given one with the bad booker that's running the clown show on TBS. Use something right now to try to gain some interest in yourselves.
I think this. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Okay, you can go, DK.
No, I was going to say, I think this is even better than the Russo situation, which was kind of a make me puke type thing. Because in this particular case, they are able to talk about what they have, what their history is, who their champion is. And, you know, this is a chance for a wrestler to get himself over too.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad that it took 83 days or 81 days from the time the guy won the title until he was actually shown as champion. But, you know.
Yeah.
That's something else to complain about. But, yes, Jaden's right. They have something. They need to take advantage of it. They need to get it talking. I sent you guys a clip from Wrestle Talk, which doesn't bring up the NWA very often. But they did bring it up in relation to this and the fact that in this case they talked about Mondo, you know, tweeting or posting or whatever you do on X.
That's Xing. You're Xing.
X gonna give it to you.
What? Yeah. So say that again, DK.
I said, okay, well, I quit then.
No, instead of DMX, he's DKX.
Oh shit. So like Shawn Mega pulled out that, and of course, Shane, you 100% accurately depicted it. Idol, the needle mover, the heartbeat of the NWA, definitely came out to the defense of the NWA, and sometimes I feel sometimes Idol maybe shouldn't open up his mouth. This was a time I felt like he could have gotten more positive attention on the NWA when it comes to the national title. Instead, he definitely went at it as, a counterattack as opposed to like, well, let me clear up some misinformation. Because he kind of, and I don't know I know what your thoughts are on deathmatch wrestling, Jaden, but like he went out of his way to kind of take a jab at Nick Cage and how AEW used him. They took a jab at Joey Janela, how AEW's used him in the past. Both those guys are not currently associated with the brand. He kind of poked fun at Marco Stunt, again, no longer with AEW. And I laugh because like I wouldn't be shocked if Joey Janela worked in the NWA. Does that make sense?
Well, I would hope not, honestly, but it is the NWA, so never know. But also, they also can't be where Idol can't be throwing stones is they have a freaking midget and other things that they've done too that are not and a gimp, not exactly the most highbrow of professional wrestling out there right now, and the gimp's only slightly bigger than the Marco Stunt, who is just only slightly bigger than the midget.
Yeah, And with all that being said, like, this was a point where they could have said, hey, if you guys are curious about the national title, we have the real one, and it's Mike Mondo. He just beat Mims for it. And Mike Mondo is a hell of an athlete. And instead of, downplaying or instead of throwing mud at AEW, I feel like this would have been the opportune time to be like, well, the real national champion is Mike Mondo. And then showing clips on X and on Meta, on all social media, really, to kind of promote that the real NWA national champion is right here. You don't have to go to TBS to watch some, knockoff version. We've got the real legit deal right here. And I feel like that would go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I feel like that would have been more effective at like, we're not going to argue about what AEW is going to do. We're just going to tell you the correct information. The lineage from our champion actually does date back because we are the NWA. You're not looking at a knockoff. We are the NWA. The NWA has never ceased to exist. And, that national championship goes back several decades.
Nobody would care about it if he did that. The only reason people are covering it is because of the knocks. And I've seen about 15 places showing the national title that Mondo currently holds, the replica of the U.S. title that Sergeant Slaughter held. posting that picture of that belt that says National Wrestling Alliance on it, and it's being posted everywhere and talking about what Brian Idol said and about what's going on, and it's more positive than what the Vince Russo thing was, a little bit, but it's still grabbing attention that I think the NWA wasn't going to get. Now, the main thing I see about the posting the title is how ugly it is, but it's at least it's out there. That belt is out there now, and people are paying attention to it. It's a gift. I'm not one for begging for a job because I honestly don't give a rat's ass. But God, I wish I could just smack somebody in the NWA and just take the job myself and just like, all right, now you're hiring me, you're paying me to do this, and I don't like it. Go after yourself. Because I would love right now just to be able to capitalize on this and to just use this for the NWA's advantage, because I don't have faith that they're able to do so. I don't know who their marketing person is, their social media person is. Right now, it looks like it's Brian Idol, and it's just may very well be. But Brian Idol is the only one who's able to get any kind of buzz on this right now, and that should not be it. Brian Idol should be the one that's getting the least amount of buzz, and it should be you guys capitalizing on it and capitalizing on a lot of things that you have the ability to do so to try to create some interest. I went on a diatribe last week about how the NWA really needs to find ways to grab attention and take advantage of this, and it's even more so. They're giving 2 gift horses, and right now instead of looking them in the mouth, they're looking them in the other end.
Oh shit!
Well, I think that there's a balance that has to take place. NWA is getting attention for slamming AEW. Although, he who lives in a glass house. But yeah, they are getting attention from it. I'm seeing probably a 60-40 split between those who referred to Mondo and those who've referred to Idol. And do it. I mean, they need to be now. They need to be focusing more on their national championship. But talk about it. Talk about the real national championship.
Well, and this again is where the tape delay is going to kill them, right? Because how awesome would it have been if like next week's episode is Mondo defending the national title? Where, in maybe every week leading up to AEW crowning a new champion, Mondo could be beating somebody as AEW champion. And again, this is Jay's crazy mindset booking, but like, what if you did go bring in Marco Stunt and like, oh, he's former AEW talent. Oh, Mondo beat him.
Jay, just turn your camera off. You're on timeout right now.
Yeah, exactly.
30 seconds at least, maybe 2 minutes. You're on timeout right now.
Or 2 years. Anyway, I think if they weren't 2.5 months behind, I mean, the only advantage of being 2.5 months behind is at least the right guy was able to come out and say, hey, I've won the title, and the title change just took place. But
somebody's going to take the meds.
The problem is, how do you
capitalize?
Well, they're not very good at inserting current things.
Yes, they're not.
The very first thing I would do is hunt down Mike Mondo wherever he is.
Florida.
With whatever camera you can find, and have him talk about being the real national heavyweight champion. You don't have to bring up AEW. You can dance around who you're talking about. But you should be putting over, you're the real national heavyweight champion, that your title is the one that is historic. Your title is the one that goes back, to the old WTBS days. And I put the W in there. And all that good stuff. So they have their opportunity. God has gifted them here. And for those who don't believe in God, fate. And for those who don't believe in fate, go away. Man, that was a terrible kick. So yeah, take advantage of it. But you need more than just posts. We're a video world. So let's start cranking out the videos.
This is where I thought you were done.
No, I mean, I was going to say, you know, wherever he's at, whatever he's doing, Mike Mondo needs to be on every other day with that belt and talking about it.
All right. This is what I'm going to suggest. If somebody can clip this and send it. First of all, I believe Billy owns the rights to the Paul Bosch Library. Right? TK?
That's incorrect.
He does not run. He doesn't have the rights to use the Paul Bosch Library. I thought he had the ability that was part of the thing that was when he got the NWA rights. That was the thing. That was a holding thing that what's his name held up.
It was recently confirmed to me that he does not have the rights.
Okay, if he did, I would have said look for that footage of through that to find any national championship match and post it right now on everything. Anything they have, X and Twitter and X and Facebook and anything else. But if they don't have that, then I guess it's a moot point. But what I would do right now, Mondo, find a way to get Mondo on every single talk show he can do. And if he's not the one doing the talking, put somebody else in there with him and just have him there looking like a badass. Put Aaron Stevens. All right, you love to talk. Aaron Stevens and Mondo need to be on every single talk show. Lions-wrestling.com right now. Guys, hit us up. Anything else out there? Have Chris Van Vliet and the everything that Billy Corgan knows and everything we can have Aaron Stevens talk about how great Mondo is and how he's the real champion, and have Mondo there looking badass with his big ass arms, looking like a freaking tank, and sit there and just.
Can I add to that? Can I echo something?
Okay.
Denise Salcido not only has her own podcast, but she's on Busted Open, I believe, on Saturdays, and I think she does like a Tuesday evening or something like that. I would also be like anything that they could get on Busted Open with send Aaron Stevens and Mondo to their studio and let them be in person and let them interact with Dave LaGreca on that show and be like, because Dave LaGreca is a very big NWA historical guy, and even he was like kind of confused and bewildered why they would call this the national championship in terms of trying to, pay homage to that lineage when there is an NWA.
Yeah, and that's what that they need to be on everything. Aaron Stevens and Mondo, every single podcast they can do. And Mondo, if you're not booked this weekend, find somebody to book you this weekend and get that match on social media. Get that match if you can get yourself against anybody who's a former national champion. I don't care if you have to drag Tommy Wildfire Rich out of bed to do it. Just beat him up in his own house. I don't care. I don't care, if you could go find Scion or somebody to pretend to be Scion and put that mask on them. Find any national champion. Damian Wayne's a great combination. Chance Prophet. Any national champion from the glory days to the dark days to the lightning in one era. And get there and find a way to get a match at their Cahagas. I know he's blackballed with the NWA. Who cares? Find somebody to book it. He lives in Florida. I think you live in Florida too. And sit there and get it out there that you are the national champion challenge. You're going across the nation to show everybody that the true national champion is Mike Mondo. Talk to any booker you can to get anything. And if it can't get a national title, get somebody who's a name, get somebody who's good, get somebody who looks good, get yourself out there. In Florida, there's 100 promotions. There, if you're from the Northeast, I'm sure you can call up somebody from New York. I'm sure you can call somebody up from New Jersey. I'm sure you can go to Ohio Valley Wrestling and do the same thing. They have a national title too. Have a national title versus national title match. Something out there. Just get your name out there and put it out on everything and show up at the gym. Next time you're at the gym, you work out all the time. You and your wife's got big 90% of the wrestlers in the AEW. It's true too. She's jacked. She's strong. You and your wife, when you're out there working out in the gym, wear that national title. Have you picture you doing the big heavy weights, lifting that, holding that national title, or having it right next to you on the bench, or wearing it while you're squatting, or Stevie Richards' podcast, the guy from the England that didn't even was trash talking the NWA. Yeah, get anything you can. Get out there right now and make everything you can, because this is not only making your reign, this is showing everybody that Mike Mondo is serious and he's into wrestling, and he's not cheerleading around anymore. He's out there making an impact into professional wrestling and get himself out there. And right now, you know what else you guys can do? WWE's got some kind of big championship encounter. Call somebody and see if you can get a favor and get the national title. Defend it on that. That'll really, really, really piss somebody off. And that'll be a great way, because I'm sure they'll do it just out of spite. I understand spite. I've turned spite into a weapon to my advantage that nobody else can really do. It's a good idea. I love that Jaguar Stadium. Have them sit there and piss on the Jaguars jersey. And who's the Jaguars' biggest rival? Like good football coaching. Get anything you can. Just like sit there and take shots and get subtlety and not so subtle. Just get yourself out there, because this is what's going to make Mondo. This will make the national title, and this will really help put the NWA back on the map. Please tag him in this. Take this footage. Use whatever you can. Credit Jag too. Make sure you give him credit and show them this footage and tag it everywhere, so that somebody can see this and maybe get, just instead of just saying about, oh, we're on a major deal with Roku. Turn this into your major deal. Turn this into your second coming. You're coming out of the closet of professional wrestling and sitting there and getting a big name for yourself and getting the NWA noticed now. This is the best opportunity you've had since the original conception of Power to get something out there, and you guys need either do it or don't expect anybody to give a crap on you, because you may not ever get these opportunities ever again.
Who's Mondo's wife?
I don't know. She's always on his TikTok. He posted. It's no wrestler that I know, but she's huge. She's strong, and I see her work out with him, and he's a freaking beast. His veins are bigger than Kenny Omega's arms.
She's an influencer and podcaster from Kenya.
Okay.
Kenya, I think.
I don't know. Again, I just see that she works out with Mondo and she lifts weights, and Mondo is big and strong. But do whatever you can, Mondo. What about you, Mondo? What about Mondo? This is Mondo's time.
What about me? What about Mondo? Sorry,
I don't know how to react to that.
There is no reaction to that. It's time to start thinking. It's funny, because we're also broadcasting on TikTok Live. We had a couple of friends jump in the chat, and TikTok has this new thing where like it'll have an AI kind of give a video description of what we're chatting about, that's wild to me. Like it's deciphering what we're talking about. So a couple minutes ago it was like the NWA title histories, and then it was like AEW's title histories, and now it says NWA's marketing strategy. Comment your ideas. Like that is so awesome.
Good job, Ultron.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ, man. If we start talking about music, will it tell it like who are your favorite country music artists? I don't know. But can we talk about music?
Waylon Jennings is the only one I know of.
That's not true. You know of others. You just might not like them, but you know them.
All right, yeah. I also know Johnny Cage. No, Johnny
Cash.
Johnny Cash. Yeah, that's it. Apparently, I don't know him that well, but I know Johnny Cash.
You never heard of the name Chris Stapleton?
Nope.
You never heard of the name? Yeah, the Tennessee whiskey was everywhere for a minute. You never heard of this little country music singer by the name of Garth Brooks? Never heard that name?
I think I've heard of him, but didn't he try to go alternative one time?
Yeah, but that's besides the point.
That's probably why I heard about him. I mean, I know Kenny Rogers and all the ones my mom listened to was god awful Conway Twitty. I know Conway Twitty because of the ads on TBS.
Conway Twitty.
You know Dolly Parton.
She ain't a country singer. She just happens to have a country twang. She's a pop singer.
She started as a country singer.
Yes, she did.
She became famous. She still does a lot of bluegrass.
You know what? The West Texas Rednecks, they were awesome.
I hate country
rap
music.
and crap.
Yes.
So,
Double
Sean
J.
Vegas wishing evil against us. AI will take y'all jobs soon. AI version of J. Cal, Jaden, and DKM.
Hey, first of all, if somebody made an AI version of me, you better just call it Skynet. You're all in trouble.
Sean Vegas says Beyonce's a country singer.
No.
Hey, don't be hating.
Oh, what's that song Billy Ray Cyrus and the other guy sang about Old Town Road? That counts, right?
Sure. Yeah, let's go for it.
I don't smoke enough stuff for this,
Well, maybe you should start, sir.
Maybe I should.
Is it legal in Texas? I don't know.
Nothing's legal in Texas.
I think
you can own a gun in Texas.
I think you can get a medical card. I'm not 100% sure.
It's actually illegal not to own a gun in Texas, by the way.
If you don't own a gun, they hand you one when you get your residency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way it should be.
Wow. All right, so let's talk about power because we did enough.
Man,
do we have to?
I didn't.
I didn't watch this week.
You did or did not?
Did not have time.
I don't think this was. Look, this wasn't the greatest episode of Power ever, but I don't think it was offensive at all. Like I don't think there was anything about this episode that I would have been embarrassed to be watching in front of other wrestling fans. Like there's. I a couple months ago, I tried to do a TikTok live where I was watching Power, and I didn't watch it beforehand. I was just going to watch it and react to it and see if I can make content that way. And when people came into the chat, they're like, what is Colonel Sanders talking about? I'm like, oh, man, they're right, dude. Like, if I had just turned this on for the first time and wanted to get into the NWA, what I'm watching was crap. But this was also a couple of months ago before the Crockett Cup. I feel like the Crockett Cup things have changed, and I feel like a lot of it's gotten better. Or do we still have some dumb skits? Yes. This week we only had one dumb skit, so I feel like that's an improvement. But anyways, I won't stand on ceremony, and we'll just start talking about Power. This was episode 3 from season 25 of NWA Power. Now, they haven't been on for 25 years. Each quarter is basically a season for the NWA, so they call it like 8 or 9 episodes, and then it's a new season. This episode was called Gut Check Time, which is kind of like paying homage to Mike Mondo. The first match was an NWA women's television title match. They they didn't use the women's time limit, the TV title time limit, which is historically for this version of the NWA has been 6 minutes and 5 seconds. They basically said since Brian Idol isn't using a time limit, that neither will Tiffany Nieves. And Galley acknowledged that Serena Vale, who we've only seen one time before in the NWA, is a product from Crossfire Wrestling. I don't know how they justify giving a new talent like this a title shot. Now, this is a signature live event. It's not a TV taping. I mean, I know it's the same, but these are supposed to be more premium events, and yet somebody who only had one appearance prior to this episode in a losing fashion gets a title shot. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't like that. They also acknowledge that Tiffany has 5 recognizable title defenses, which is weird because before they would not acknowledge the title defenses that happened outside of Power. They would say, oh, they've defended here, here, and here, but they would only really acknowledge the Power title defenses as defenses towards that lucky 7. And if you're new to the show, the TV title for the NWA, the champion has to defend 7 successful defenses, meaning they just can't lose the title for 7 matches. And if they go 7, they instantly get qualified for a world title shot. And if it's the women's TV title, it's for the Burke. And if it's the men's TV title, it's for the 10 pounds of gold. With that being said, they also pointed out that Vale is only 18 years old. And so for that, I'm pretty impressed by her in the ring. Of course, Kenzie and Kylie both are very young too, but their dad was also involved with the wrestling business. So you kind of feel like maybe that they should be more advanced than most talent. But again, 18 years old, second time in the NWA, and Vale got a considerable amount of offense. She looks good. And the thing I liked about her, she she looks like a wrestler. She has a goth thing where she kind of looks similar to what Paige looked like initially in the WWE and the NXT system. She connected with some pretty good offense. At one point, she even drop kicked Miss Star on the outside. And my notes here. I loved how the champ kicked. Oh, yeah, okay. So then when Vale went to enter the ring after drop kicking Miss Star, something as simple as Tiffany Nieves kicking the rope. She just kicks the rope, and the rope hits Vale in the face, and then like she gets staggered. So something so simple like that was an opportunity to get Tiffany Nieves an opportunity to go on the offense, and then so she connected with her finisher, basically like her version of the Texas Cloverleaf. It was a pretty solid match, and I don't think of anything was too memorable in it, but I don't remember anything being offensive in it. And since Jaden, you didn't watch it, I'll go with DK. What did you think of this match?
I thought it was all right for what it was. For being so young, she showed quite a bit of skill in the ring.
That's what I thought too.
I was okay with it. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the why is she getting a title shot, but it's like if we just put that part behind us, it was a good title defense by Tiffany. As soon as she loses the women's title, tag team title will be better, but
Yeah, I guess what bothers me about it is still, when it comes down to it, and I think the blueprint was created for the NWA when the Pope was TV champion, is that every single week something should be leading up to a TV title match. And I feel like maybe even the signature live events should not have a TV title match. You know what I mean? Like maybe that should not be used for that season of Power. Keep the TV title matches strictly to the powerhouse in Tampa, or whatever they call it, the power source or whatever they call it. It just because the TV title is supposed to represent television, not live events. And I know that they haven't really stuck to that or adhered to that, but I feel like that's a misstep. I feel like they should. Anyways, you felt the match was okay, DK?
Yeah, a good opening match and a decent television title match.
I disagree with Jay on two things.
You always
yes. If it's the world title, the world tag team title, the national title, the women's tag team title, it should only be built up as top contenders. TV titles are for people to get championship matches who don't necessarily always get championship matches. Okay. In a perfect world, it would be nice that Sienna Vale? Serena Vale?
Serena, something like that.
Miss Vicky Vale. It will have some wins before she got a championship match, but the TV title should be, again, you're right. I love the idea the Pope did it where there would be a challenger, two challengers facing, and then they face the champion next time.
Yeah.
I love that. But even if they're not going to do that, the thing is the TV title should be one of the two TV titles should be defended every other week, and at least the women's, then the men's, and then the women's, and then the men's, and maybe then the men's, and then the women's. But they should be defended every week. And if they could create a match where they have a contender, so the men's contenders match happens the same week as the women's TV title match, that'll be great. That's a perfect world. It should still be defended on the signature live events because they're still kind of pay-per-views. Pay-per-views was still kind of television. Yeah. And this is still kind of as television is in the modern era with streaming. So I don't have a problem with it be defending on signature live events. I just wish that they would put more focus on the TV titles and use them to create stars to be future national champions and future world heavyweight champions or future women's champions or something like that.
What about the world-class way of doing it?
They beat the champ TV title? I never had a problem with that either.
But
There's a random challenger.
The challenger was drawn from a hat, so to speak.
Yeah.
That would be, okay, if they had that as a gimmick, right? If that's how they're going to do it all the time, then I think, yeah, absolutely. Then it doesn't matter who gets a title shot because it's all luck of the draw. Okay, we're going to pull out whoever's name comes out. To me, I think that would be more exciting than how they're doing it now.
Right. And often they would explain why the main event people weren't in the hat. Because, they'd go, well, they travel so much, they can't be here every week to defend it.
Yeah.
So, but, it was taken care of. It was explained why the person was challenging. And it was explained why you didn't see Kerry Von Erich challenging.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind the beat the TV titles format. Similar thing where there's a new opponent every week, and every 5 defenses you get a bonus for defending. And you could just there's other ways they do that too, where you can keep going. You get a bonus for every championship that you defend, and then once you say you're done, then you get all the money, and then there's 2 new people to crown the champion. I don't mind that. That's another beat the champion style format. However you want to do it, there's better ways to be doing it for both the TV title for men's and TV title for women's that I wish that somebody would do, because the TV title is A, to give main event matches or championship matches for television, and B, to build up stars. Because one of the benefits of having a TV champion is if they're always on TV, and if they're always on TV, or if there's always somebody trying to maybe earn that shot, then they're getting a lot of publicity to try to turn themselves into stars, and then you just have to capitalize on it.
See, my idea was kind of a combination of the two. I was going to draw names from a hat, 2 names from a hat, who would face each other to challenge for the TV title next week. So one week would be the match to see who was going to challenge, and the next week was going to be the champion defending against that wrestler.
And this is a way that they could logically do heel versus heel, babyface versus babyface, instead of the random who cares because it's Billy Corgan booking, so there's no such thing as heels or babyfaces, and everybody's a heel and everybody's a babyface. But this way they could logically do it randomly and rarely, even more importantly. So when there is a heel versus heel match chosen from the hat, or there is a babyface versus babyface match chosen from the hat, it could be a big deal.
Yep.
All right. Well,
but that makes sense. We'll have none of that.
Guys, what you need to do, you need to have a bunch of nanites take over Billy Corgan, but then have me control the nanites, and then the NWA will be great again. We can make, instead of red hats, we can make blue hats or green hats or pink. I don't even care. Rainbow. Make them all. Make hats out of pumpkins.
Okay. That took me a second to get what you just said. Let's move forward with Power. So the next part is we get Kylie Page with Joe Kazana. This was the awkward, cringy segment, and I don't know what they were trying to accomplish here. Kylie is sitting there with Joe Kazana. Joe's like, "Why am I not talking to your father? Why am I talking to you? You're just a dumb girl. Why am I not talking to your father?" And Kylie was like, "Look, my dad's training for the match. You're not training for that match because you're not going to be in it," and blah, blah, blah. This was kind of, again, really badly done high school drama. And at one point, Joe Kazana goes, "Wait a minute. If it's Kenzie Page and it's Kylie Page, why is it Tommy Henry?" And then Kazana says, "What's going on with your mom?" And that switched a switch for Kylie, and then she got really pissed off. And I guess you don't talk about Kylie's mom. Joe then says he isn't above slapping a woman, but would give her the first punch. And he takes off his glasses and prepares to get punched by Kylie, who then just rakes his nose. And then that was just, or excuse me, rakes his eyes. And that was kind of how it ended. So I know that they were trying to build to the JCP versus Crossfire match. But again, I don't think this made anybody a slight bit more interested in that matchup. Already it's kind of disconnected. It's going to be the Country Gentleman and a few talents from Crossfire, and then Tommy, Hunter, and Kylie. Excuse me. Let me try that again. The Gazana brothers and a few of the JCP guys taking on the Crossfires, Tommy and Hunter and Kylie and a few more of their talents. So again, not excited about it. Did nothing to get me more excited about it. DK, do you want to add anything, or did you just fast forward it?
I fast forwarded.
I think that was a good move. Next up was then the Kenzie promo, which was kind of a nice transition because you just went from Kylie to Kenzie, and then after last week, Kenzie was really pissed off at her sister and Hunter, but Kenzie just it's a really brief stare at the camera. Markova, no one was ever ducking you. I just had to make sure you were good enough and to prove yourself that you deserve this title shot, and I made you earn it. So next week you're going to earn it, or something like that. It was not a baby face promo, but it didn't come off as a heel promo to me either. DK, did you watch this one or no?
It was on. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it.
If you blinked, you would have missed it. It wasn't a long promo by any stretch.
Yeah, I probably sneezed. I mean, I remember, I kind of remember her like yelling or something, and I think I sneezed.
Noob in the chat, and I have to point this out. Noob in the chat said the segment was odd. This going back to the Kylie and Joe Kazana. The segment is odd. Who wants to see Colonel Sanders get beat up?
Ronald McDonald does.
Or El Pollo Loco.
Dave Thomas.
Do you guys have El Pollo Locos out there?
We don't even have a Pollo de Mar here. No, we have nothing.
I'm so sorry for you. Pollo Loco is pretty good. All right.
I've seen them before, but they're not big.
What about Chipotle? Do you guys have Chipotle?
Yes, and it's the drizzling garbage here.
I'm not a fan of Chipotle. When it first came out, I was like, okay, this is pretty badass. And I think I went like 3 times in 1 week. And then I was like, yeah, I don't think I ever have to go again. And I maybe have been 3 times in the last 20 years.
In my hometown, it's absolutely horrendous. People get sick and thrown up, and it's the worst. But it's funny because a couple towns over, the same people that own the one in my town own that one, and it's a completely different thing, and it's almost edible. But while it's not the greatest, I will choose Pancheros any day because of how bad it is in my area.
Yeah, we
but
like
real quick, there's an El Mariachi that's pretty damn good. It's not that far that I enjoy a lot.
El Mariachi, huh?
Yeah, little mom and pop shop.
You didn't take me to El Mariachi. What gives, bro?
Because you can get tacos anywhere. Where can you get pizza?
That's
good
true.
Pizza, not from California.
Well, look, that topic aside, you get better tacos out here. But that takes us to the Heartthrob Invitational. Now, this was announced last week. Austin Idol, I guess getting closer to the grave, wants to make sure that he makes one more lasting impact on the National Wrestling Alliance. Created this tournament to crown this matchup to crown a new #1 contender for said NWA National Championship. And this was a doozy of like a hybrid between a battle royal and then a single elimination type match where you could be eliminated by being thrown over the top rope, pinned, or submitting. And I don't know that there were any actual rules in the match outside of if you go over the top, you're disqualified or you're eliminated. If you get pinned, you're eliminated. If you submit, you're eliminated, because they were battling on the outside and they had no problem with that. The match started off with Jay Bradley in the ring with Tyler Stevens, a.k.a. The Wall. No relation to Aaron Stevens and no relation to the former Wall who used to wrestle in WCW, the late Wall. What was his name? Jerry something.
Jerry Toot, I think.
Jerry, yeah.
Malice.
He wrestled in TNA briefly too. And like I said, the rules are very similar to like the Royal Rumble in that a new contestant, a new challenger kind of comes out every few minutes. And I don't think it was very consistent because towards the end, they just kind of started coming out pretty quickly. This was like it was a weird match, and I didn't hate it. The execution was a little clunky at times, but by and large, it was a decent match. The number 3 guy was Mario Pardua, who is your NWA Chicago champion. Then shortly after that, we get Izzy James, and they're just kind of the 4 men are battling in the ring. I actually liked how we got some territory representation. I think last week I was talking about how could this be an anniversary show and you're not even showcasing anybody from the territories. This week was the answer to that because we got a lot of representation from the territories. Then the 5th man was Wrecking Ball Legursky. Then we got, the 4th man was Izzy James. He's the Texas champion. Then we got Legursky, so that's 5 in. And Legursky just starts destroying everybody, which was pretty cool. Wrecking Ball Legursky is super over in the Northeast. I think he's a very untapped potential for the NWA. I feel like this guy, separate from Jay Bradley, could really get people excited. I feel like he would be a great potential national champion down the road or a TV champion. And I feel like the audience would get behind him because he's so over in the Northeast. Then that brings out our guy, friend of the show, Jeremiah Plunkett, the NWA Mid-American champion at number 6. And that, so in the Heartthrob Invitational, we have 3 territory champions. So that's kind of cool. We're getting some representation. You haven't seen JP in a ring for the NWA in quite some time.
Did they wear their belts?
Yeah, they actually did have their belts. So we got to see the Mid-American Championship. We got to see the Chicago title and the Texas title up close and personal. Izzy James was eliminated by Bradley J. He was the first guy to get eliminated. Plunkett got a little chance to shine in the ring against Legursky. Number 7 in the Heartthrob Invitational was Camaro Jackson. He's the former WLW heavyweight champion. He only recently lost that title to Carson Drake. Camaro comes in and suplex Jackson. It's a great show of power, and because Jackson is not a small guy. Excuse me, I said it's Jackson. He suplexed. Now my notes are screwed up. I don't know who he got. Maybe it was supposed to be Mario Pardua. I don't know. No, it was Plunkett. Excuse me. Oh, shit, I don't know. Now my notes are all screwed up. Anyways, Camaro Jackson came in, looked good, had some offense. He eliminated, I think it was Jeremiah Plunkett. Then Bradley eliminated Jackson with the boomstick, that clothesline. And then I was really surprised Tyler Stevens was still in the match. He's a guy that none of us know regularly, and he was still in the ring. Then number 8 is announced as Cristiano Argentino. And it cuts to commercial. However, if you watch on the Roku app on your PC, no commercial. So it's kind of funny because it's like, oh, we have to go to commercial, and then it's a Markova promo. So Markova mentions that she's ready for Kenzie, and then we get the Silas Mason promo. This was absolute money. I cannot begin to tell you the intensity that Thrillbilly Silas Mason brings when he cuts a promo. There's nobody like him in the NWA. You know, Kerry Morton often will say, they don't make him like this, Daddy, referring to himself. But really, Thrillbilly Silas Mason is one of one. In the NWA, there is not a person who could talk better, could sell you a ticket better than Thrillbilly Silas Mason. We learned that it's going to be in 2 weeks that he has an opportunity to challenge Tom Latimer for the World's Heavyweight Championship. And he says in his most beastly matter of saying it that he is already the world's champion. Tom just hasn't figured it out yet. And it was 5-star promo. Did you get to see this, DK? Did you watch the promo?
I watched his and only his. And that's because he's the only one that's truly entertaining. Yeah. He's the only one that truly understands what wrestling should be in the promo business. He's a natural throwback.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just so enjoyable. And I can't believe the NWA's wasted it'll be over 90 days of not having him cutting promos as champion.
I think I would have had him record a promo for every episode leading up to the title match, and I think I would have had him win the title on this episode, just so we could get to the Silas Mason era. But they're going to make us wait 2 more weeks.
Assuming the match ever shows.
Well, shit, I'd be so pissed if they didn't do that. Oh man, I would be so mad. All right, so we get Argentino finally entering the ring, and everyone's laid out. And so you're coming back from the commercials or promos, and everyone's laid out in the ring, and Argentino is just finally in the middle of the ring taking off his gear.
Did you bring up Lockjaw? I never heard you bring him up.
How did I leave? Well, wait. No, I don't think he came in yet, because I remember him coming in. Yeah, no, he hadn't come in yet. He's not in yet.
Okay.
So then Argentino is in the middle of the ring, and Pardua attacks first. He goes to attack Argentino, but then gets laid out by Jay Bradley in the boomstick, which Bradley was kind of a badass in this invitational, and I kind of was hoping that maybe something more positive for him, but he gets laid out. Excuse me, Pardua gets laid out, and because Bradley was so explosive in that, then Argentino just kind of rolled up Pardua and got the pin, and then Bradley delivered another boomstick, this time to Argentino, laying him out. He gets eliminated. Then Legursky eliminated Jay Bradley by throwing him over the top. Then we got the number 9 entrant into the invitational, which was Lockjaw Drake, LJ Drake. And the gimmick is that he's got a steel jaw. And I'm not joking, because somebody punched him and then grabbed their hand and winced. I think it was Legursky. And to me, that's just, I don't know, man. Is this really, is this a good gimmick? Don't put the iron claw on him. It's not going to work. Or not the iron claw, excuse me, the camel clutch. It's not going to work. Don't try to fish hook him. You're going to hurt your fingers. I don't know. The number 10 entrant into the invitational was Frank Stone, who enters the ring, goes toe-to-toe with Legursky, and then gets eliminated after a splash from Legursky. Then we have another commercial break. And this time we come back with a Carson Drake promo, basically celebrating the victory over the Holy Grail. It was kind of a nothing promo. Didn't really accomplish anything, didn't say much. Then we get the Hammerstone promo, which again, Hammerstone celebrating his victory over Kerry Morton. But again, didn't really say a whole lot. He just said he's looking for competition in the NWA and that he's going to be here for a while. So that's all.
Looking for competition promos.
Yeah, I mean, look, get a target.
Everybody in the company should be competition. They're either jobbers or competition. Yeah. It's one thing if you beat up nobodies every single week, but if you're wrestling against top talent, then everybody, to me, that just made Kerry Morton seem less important. I know DK's happy, but I would never want that to happen because it's not how wrestling should be.
I feel like what would have been better suited is him saying, hey, look, I know that Silas Mason has a shot at the World's Heavyweight Championship, and I'm rooting for you, Silas. I hope to God you win the title, because when you do, I'm going to be knocking on your door because I owe you a receipt, pal. And then, simple as that, now you've got something interesting to look forward to. And if the fantasy world that, Silas Mason doesn't win the title, then you've got, you still have a rematch because Hammerstone kind of got screwed over in that matchup. There's still some animosity there. There's still something to play off of. DK, did you see any of these promos or did you skip them?
I skipped most of them.
All right. That brings us back to the Heartthrob Invitational. Luthez brings up something that I agree with 100%. Unless the entire wrestling world decides they're going to sell the jaw for him, then it's stupid. But they did sell the dick flip, so you never know. Sad but true. Okay, we get number 11, Dante Casanova with the Exodus Pro Championship, a.k.a. the NWA Midwest title. I don't love that belt, but it is so big and gaudy, it kind of draws your eyeballs to it.
It works on him, though, because he's so big and gaudy, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
His outfit is extravagant, and that's why it works on him. It looks more like he's a Jaguar warrior, not necessarily a guy with a giant, stupid Roman coin.
Well, and I think the idea initially was for him to win that title belt. I think he was the odds-on favorite, and I think he got hurt. And I think PB Smooth was just the alternative. Okay, we got to put the belt on somebody.
They tried to distract from his head. That's probably why they made it look like that.
So Dante Casanova enters the ring, and he chooses to go at it with the Wall. And then number 12, we get Charlie Adams, another talent from Chicago. So we're seeing a lot of territory representation in this match. Now, I don't know where the Wall came from. I don't know where he made his name at, but he's still kicking in this match. He's now been in here longer than anyone else.
They should have had a Mexican jump over him.
Charlie Adams was kind of like a skinny, fit guy. Like, he had muscles, but he didn't look very big. And when he came in the ring, he tried to power slam Dante Casanova, and it didn't look good. He struggled to do a power move. He shouldn't do power moves. If you can't competently pick up somebody bigger than you, then don't do it. There's nothing that kills a gimmick more than exposing yourself in a match.
Don't do shit you don't know how to do.
Or that you physically are limited to. Legursky nearly had Dante eliminated after a power slam, got a 2 count that I was for sure was going to be 3. Casanova ends up eliminating Legursky with help from Lockjaw. They did a double drop kick while Legursky was on the outside, and there was a forearm from Dante Casanova, and Legursky kind of leaned back, but then got back to his feet, and then LJ hit him with the forearm, and he rocked back, but then got himself static again, and then they both connected with a double drop kick that eliminated Legursky, and the crowd was upset. The crowd really did like Legursky in this matchup. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to get back on my notes. Then Wall finally got advantage in the match, and he had laid everyone out. Now he's wasting time celebrating, and you think like, oh, that's it. The match is over. Casanova comes in, and the Wall boots Casanova to eliminate the Midwest champion. He boots him out of the ring, and now you've got Lockjaw and the Wall. And, we keep thinking like, well, LJ was kind of promoted. I kept thinking that, okay, maybe he's going to steal this and get that national title. And then that's going to be interesting for the whole dynamic with Aaron Stevens when his protege now is the cousin of the guy who just won the Invitational, who gets a shot at his other protege in Mondo. So that was just kind of weird. But Tyler upsets and wins the Heartthrob Invitational. And it was kind of interesting that they went with this guy. I've never seen him before. I'm not familiar with who he is, but his name is Tyler Stevens. I thought it might have been Tyler Shoup, but it wasn't. I don't think it was Tyler Shoup. It was a different person. So
at least it wasn't Tyler Durden.
That's true. Now, DK, I'm sure you watched this the same way I did, and there were parts where this match definitely lulled. It was a very long match. It was kind of neat to see some of the territory guys for me, but like I know that you had some points you wanted to make. So what was your take on this match?
Okay, number 1 takeaway was it was too long. Number 2 takeaway was it was good that it had some of the territory guys in it, but it also didn't treat some of them very well. We talk about the one that was basically got to the ring, was squashed by Legursky and thrown out in about, a minute.
Frank Stone. Yeah.
Frank Stone, who was a former dog champion, dog pound.
Yeah. Get it right.
Dog pound champion, San Antonio based. And, there's some others that they didn't look overly good. Lockjaw's a stupid gimmick.
Yep.
It's a really, really stupid.
Did they at least bring out Triclops and Merman with them? Or that was Trapjaw? Never mind.
Would have been better if they had. Yeah, it was just. And then the guy that won was sort of like, okay, why?
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
I can't be excited about it because I don't really know anything about the guy.
Yeah,
it didn't strike me as, oh well, that's a swerve or something like that. It was just more like, questioning. And sometimes when people are kind of brought in and put in those spots, they win the big one to lose the title match, and then you never hear from them again. It's kind of like, okay, there was a lot of people in there that probably could have benefited from a win. I don't know that he's won. So
a good friend of the show, Double D, says Shug D and Tyler Stevens are the TWE Tag Team Champions, or they were. They lost a week ago. So, Double D, what is TWE? I'm not familiar with that. I've heard the name Shug D. I think if that's the same Shug D from years ago, that guy's been around forever, but I don't know who Tyler Stevens was before this, and I don't know what TWE is.
Well, and not just that, it's meaningless that he was tag team champions with somebody else I've never heard of. Okay, there was a promotion that saw enough of him to put a tag team belt on him. Promotion, I don't know who they are, what they do. And it's just like, he was on an NWA Power show for an NWA signature live event. And I was just no build up whatsoever. And it's just like, okay, he won. He's the number one contender. I'm not excited about it. I mean, I'm not going to go around going, oh, that was stupid or what a terrible choice. I'm just not excited about it.
It looks like Tyler Stevens does a lot of wrestling in like the Mid-South area where he wrestles for Crossfire in Tennessee, but wrestles in Alabama, wrestles in New South, which is not connected to the NWA, wrestles in Action, which is in Georgia, and not really anything else to do with the NWA outside of Crossfire, but does wrestle a lot in the Mid-South area, for what that's worth.
Good.
Yeah, sorry, just adding a little bit of context.
Yeah, I mean, see, the problem is you're having to add a little bit of context to it 2 days after the.
Right. Well,
this is where.
Go ahead.
This is where a tale of the tape, where everybody coming down and having some accomplishments and some of their big victories and some of the 9 opponents and some of the titles they might have held and some of their history, who they were trained by, like a little tale of the tape as they're coming down the ring could really help and build that up.
Yeah. And then Double D also points out that Kenzie, Kyle, and Hunter wrestle for the TWE too. I think Kenzie, Kylie, and Hunter. Okay, well, again, still not something that the NWA is sharing that information with us, so there is no context here. But
this is the Twee 2 movement now.
What?
The Twee 2 movement. TWA Twee.
Nope.
Twee 2 movement.
Nope. DK, what? So at the end of the day, what was your final thought on this match?
I wasted my time.
Oh, so you didn't enjoy it then at all?
It's hard to say. I mean, I didn't love it. It was certainly too long. I liked the placement of some of the champions from the territories.
Yeah.
I probably would have been happier if one of them had won.
Should have been Plunky.
Ah, man, that would have been so good.
It probably should have been. Although I'm also to the point with Plunky, it's like, I love the guy, but we never see the title and it never changes hands. And so it's almost like, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, doesn't make a sound. Well, if a guy has an NWA title, but you never hear about it, is it real?
And that's the other part of it too, is during the commentary, Joe Galli mentioned that he's held the title for over 400 days, which is an impressive feat. But like to your point, DK, like, well, who the hell has he defended it against? And just for shits and giggles, I'm going to go to cage match right now, and I'm going to
beat.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm going to go to cage match right now, and I'm going to type in Jeremiah Plunkett's name. I'm just going to.
And you'll see wrestlers on there like Stanley Zabisco and Warren Bockwinkel and I can't think of the guy's name I'm trying to think of, so I'm stalling. And Bruno Sammartino.
So it shows that Jeremiah Plunkett has held this title for 500 plus days. He won it on June 1st, 2024. So well over a year. And he's defended it in Kentucky against Gaston LaRue, not NWA. Against Sean Hurley in Tennessee, not an NWA promotion. Against Crazy Steve for JCP, but we never got to see it. Went to a draw with Leland Race in Missouri. Cool. Against Hunter Drake at Crossfire. Cool. And then against the Majestic at a non-NWA event. Against Tavon Jordan at a non-NWA event. Then back to Crossfire against Carson Drake and JAC. Cool. Then at PWA against a non-NWA guy. Then defended it in the TCW Burt Prentice Memorial Birthday Bash. Again, not an NWA event. Against Matt Starr at a non-NWA event. Against Alexander Monroe at a non-NWA event. The last time he defended the title in an NWA sanctioned ring was with special referee Jack Vaughn against KC Kazana, and that was back in August. So that title itself has not really been defended all that much. It has made some of the territory rounds, but like, again, like, what are we bragging about? This is a title that I feel like, and I've said it before, and I love Jeremiah Plunkett. This is not an attack on him, but that title should be on somebody who's going to all the territories. I think somebody like Brian Idol would make a lot more sense as that Mid-American champion. In fact, I wish they would do a title for title match, and then they both end up winning the opposite title. Give Jeremiah Plunkett a short run with the TV title. Let Brian Idol take the Mid-American Championship all over the country, and use that as a way to showcase the NWA name and brand with Brian Idol in New Mexico, or Brian Idol in Texas with that Mid-American Championship, because you're not doing it with the national title, and I don't feel like the TV titles should be on the road like that. That's my 2 cents.
Is there any more to Power?
Yeah, there's 2 more segments. We get the Colby Carino segment, and again, like, this is kind of sad. Colby says himself, like, all I know is wrestling. That's all I've ever have been good at. I hate when people say that, because, man, that setting the bar low there. Your husband, your father, like, no, you celebrate all the things you're good at. But he mentions that he doesn't know anything but wrestling. He's going to come back. He was shocked. He was surprised. He was disappointed about the injury. He'd been wrestling with numb feeling for some time. And it got to a point where, like, anytime he lifted up his head, his whole body would go numb. And his wife finally convinced him to go to the doctor. And they said, no, you're going to have surgery right now. Like, this is bad. And so that's kind of, the whole story was very scary, and I'm glad he's okay. I don't need you to come back to the ring anytime soon, Colby. Get better, get healthy. Like, we want you, but we want you as a healthy wrestler, not somebody who's going to be paralyzed in the next 2 or 3 years. Like, I don't want that for him. It was kind of an inspiring piece, but again, it was still just kind of fluff. I'm glad he's going to be okay. I'm glad he's on the road to recovery. But again, like, I don't know. What did you think about that, DK? Did you watch it?
I did watch it. I don't know. It's like I felt bad for him, but it was almost, it's something that's too real.
Yeah.
It's still real to me, damn it.
What?
It's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah, and it's something for me. It's something that's too real. It doesn't mix well in a show that's so obviously fake. And I don't know. It was almost uncomfortable in a way.
Yeah, I got that too.
And yeah, it was kind of uncomfortable. You feel bad for him. You want the best for him. But almost like Jay said, I don't really want to see him anymore for a while because I want him to go to get better. And quite frankly, anytime you see him and stuff like that, you worry they may try some kind of stupid wrestling angle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I was very mixed with it.
I think at the end of the day, like, look, I think all of us want to see Colby have a healthy life and a successful wrestling career. And I think that those could be one and the same. They don't have to be, you don't have to pick or choose on this. So I hope he heals up. I hope he comes back only when he's healthy. And we'll leave it at that. That brings us to the main event of the night, the NWA National Championship match, the title that is getting the talk of the town. We have our national NWA champion Mims, and he is accompanied by the Church's Money. His opponent is Mike Mondo, who his manager is Aaron Stevens. And essentially they explain that Mondo got this title shot because the Pope basically forfeited his shot at Mims so that Mondo could have that shot, which is interesting because if we go back to Power, remember it was Pope who called out Mims. They had the match. The Pope won. And then after the match, Mondo and Slade beat the crap out of Pope, rendering him unable to compete. And so he ended up offering his title match to Mondo. Well, this is kind of like a weird situation, right? Like, why would you give up your title opportunity for Mondo? Like, as far as I know, there wasn't like a time limit expiration on that deal. Or maybe there was, and that's why he did it. And the announcers kind of played it up like, well, he's good either way because if Mondo wins, then he's mad at Mondo. He can go back and fight Mondo for the title later. And if Mims retains, then, he still has heat with Mims. He can go back and fight him for the title. It was a kind of a no-lose situation for Pope, except for it just didn't make sense.
Only way I could have made that make sense is if you're hoping they both hurt each other, so then you could pick them off. But that's a heel thing to do, not a babyface thing to do.
Well, got good news for you because it feels like the Pope turns heel in this match. Because during this match, again, it was pretty back and forth, pretty straight up Mims and Mondo. And I this kind of match made me like Mims even a little bit more because it made Mims look like he'd go toe-to-toe with Mondo. And although Mims has a victory over Mondo in the past, Mondo is kind of a hot thing for the NWA right now. He came off a good showing at the Crockett Cup. Him and Slade looked really good as a tag team. He looks great, but he's in there with Mims, who is like a true homegrown talent, and he's taking on a former WWE superstar, and he was holding his own. He looked good in this match. I thought so anyways. And there was a lot of back and forth where it felt like these guys were working well against each other. And there wasn't a ton of interference by Stevens. I mean, there was, I think at one point he grabbed onto to Mims. And at one point, Church's Money did the same thing. But at the end of the day, the match was pretty back and forth until the Pope comes out. And the Pope just nonchalantly walks to the ring. And as Aaron Stevens has the manager or the referee distracted, Pope gets in the ring and low blows Mims, setting up Mims for Mondo's finisher, and Mondo gets the win. And Pope is celebrating on his way out. You could even see Stevens say something like "thank you" or "Pope" or something. He acknowledged that the Pope helped them win the match. But it was very surreal, and that's how the show ended, with the Pope helping Mondo get this victory. So, DK, you watched it. What did you think?
I liked the match up until the end.
You say that a lot.
What'd you say?
I said we say that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the match up until the end. There was Pope didn't low blow him. He just hit him with some kind of finisher.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think you're right. I didn't take super great notes on this match because I was just trying to get through it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it was a little bizarre. There was a hint when he first came out because was it Galley that was putting over so heavy the fact that he was mad at Mondo or something like that?
Yeah.
So, what's he going to do? Stuff like that. And instead he hits Mims, and it's just like, okay. And, I mean, I don't mind a heel Pope. Kind of when he first came in, he played a little bit of a heel.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get it, and I'm worried that it's going to be a convoluted explanation.
Oh, 100% it's going to be.
That it's not going to be something simple like just the whole thing from the beginning was the setup and that, or whatever, that Aaron Stevens was the one that brought him back and everything. So that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried when they finally do the explanation as to who, what, when, where, why, all that good stuff. So that's my only concern. Yeah, the match was good. The ending was a little bit confusing. Has me more worried than interested might be the phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop that. Well, I feel like, again, nothing about this episode was extremely offensive. I didn't care for the segment with Joe Kazana and Kylie.
That was my face.
That's what you get. It's karma. I didn't really enjoy that segment, but the rest of the show, I wasn't offended by anything. Like, yes, I did feel like that Invitational went long, but they were trying to eat up time. And of course, they showcased a lot of talent, which to me is a positive thing. I feel like a guy like Dante Casanova should be on Power weekly. Like, that guy looks great. Seeing Izzy James for the first time with NWA, like the NWA roster guys, he kind of fit in too. And same thing with the Chicago champion, not Charlie Adams, but Mario Pardua. Like, we've seen Mario Pardua in the past, but seeing him again, and the NWA acknowledging who these guys are, it's like I kind of felt like that was a feel good moment too. The promos were pretty good. Of course, Silas Mason killed it. Main event was kind of a letdown because I didn't want to see the Pope get involved in that. I feel like the Pope should have been on commentary saying, like, I can't wait to see whoever wins this because I'm going to beat the shit out of whoever wins. But they didn't do that. So that was my disappointment. But again, not offended, not embarrassed. This probably could have been an A show or maybe even a very high B. But because, they just didn't have some of these things that I feel like could have made it better, that's where they missed out.
Didn't stick the landing.
Yeah, 100%. DK, what did final thoughts? What did you think about the show?
What's interesting is I think the one match that didn't leave me confused was the opening women's television title match.
Yeah.
It's like it was what it was. The youngster was pretty impressive in the ring. If she has that level of skill at her age and she's somewhere where she can develop, you might be able to see like another
Mackenzie Page,
Roxanne Perez type.
Oh yeah.
Character. And so that was probably the highlight of the show in some ways to me. I got bored in the Royal Rumble and was kind of blah by the end of the national title. I will say I was enjoying the national title match until the end. So, I mean, the end just left me more confused. And this might be a case where knowing too much isn't helpful.
If you could rebook this show, would you have gotten away with the Invitational and done a few regional title matches, or what would you have done with that time?
I think I probably would have. Where did this take place? New York?
Yeah, it was in Long Island. Woo, woo, woo.
I think they got, 4 regional champions, 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
I might have done like a 6-man tag team with some of the champions just teaming together.
I think that would have been interesting.
Just to get them and their titles exposure.
Yeah, I mean, you could have easily gone like Jeremiah Plunkett and Dante Casanova on one side, or it doesn't really matter, but Izzy James and Mario Pardua on the other side. There you had that tag team match right there featuring 4 of the regional champions.
The ugly belt tag team. we got the ugliest belts in. I gotta find Izzy James and give him a real Texas title belt.
I mean, I'm all right with you selling it to him. Don't give him nothing.
Well, yeah, whatever. He just has to give it back to me whenever he loses.
Because of your connections in Texas, have you ever met him? Do you know him? Is he somebody that you have watched in the past, or?
Yeah, I knew him more as Unholy Gregory James and stuff. So I mean, David booked him quite a few times, so I'm very familiar with him.
Is he somebody we'd see in IHWA? Is he?
Probably.
I see what you did there, sir.
Probably. It's certainly possible.
I sent you somebody on TikTok. It was kind of entertaining. Too flippy, but very entertaining.
Something you sent me today?
No.
But both of you, if I sent it to you, you saw it too. So yeah, he's from Texas.
Huh. I don't remember. I'll have to go look back. Anyways, that was this week's Power.
I don't remember the start of this program, so I'm hungry.
That was this week's Power. I think we're going to get ready to call it a night here. Of course, we do appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat with us, whether it be on TikTok, Twitch, or here on YouTube. We love talking with you guys. And, when you jump in the chat and you leave your comments, they do get read. We do appreciate you guys interacting with us. But I can't always say that this is the best wrestling show on the planet. Most times it's not. There are elements of the NWA that I genuinely enjoy, and this show is a pretty okay example of what the NWA is. And I don't think that's a terrible thing, but of course, I always want it to be a better product. With that being said, talking about better products, our good friend, Dr. Lawrence Zirconium, who runs Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, is so kind to send Jaden here to this weekly podcast to update us on all things dog. And so, Mr. Jaden, I have to ask you, what's going on with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators? What hot news do you have for us this week?
We got a lot going on. We got on November 15th, the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championship will be on the line at a Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Alliance event at Somerdale VFW in Somerdale, New Jersey, as Benny the Fixer defends against Nick Bati. If you don't know who Nick Bati is, look him up. You'll thank me. And that match will be really good. That'll be a main event anywhere in Wawa or Dog. But no, it's going to be a really, really good match. And I look forward to it. And then if the whoever comes out will be defending that championship, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then on November 29th, I think it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we're going to be doing a holiday fair where there's going to be a table with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Wrestling. You'll see current champion Vinny the Fixer, assuming he's still champion, the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Tag Team Champions Primal Fear, Silver Lobo, Have No Fear, he'll be there. And you'll also see Dylan Mesh. So there's the talent up and down. You're going to see, they're going to be selling their merchandise and doing pictures and talking about Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. And it'll be the second time the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators tablecloth will be in action. And then, so you're going to get some other things. We're going to be back on April the 4th for the South Jersey Geek Fest. All 4 championships will be on the line. So you get to see that at South Jersey Geek Fest. And then on April the 10th, just 6 days later, it's a Friday night, we'll be back at Rowan University at the Chamberlain Student Center. Rowan University, again, is the, check them out on YouTube. They're extremely exciting events, very hot crowd. A lot going on there. We currently have Jack Vaughn will be scheduled.
Nice. That's a good
all
get.
4 championships, again, will be on the line. Spencer Slade is scheduled. And Tank Tolan is also signed for this event. So we got a lot going on right now, plus wrestlers from, South Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators and wrestlers who are wrestling from Rowan or are professional wrestlers who went to Rowan University. I think one of them still is. So that's going to be really good right now. Currently the match is signed is if he is still champion, Vinny the Fixer will defend the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championship, and that's a big if because he's got a lot of challenges coming in between that against Adrian Soriano, who won the Rowan After Hours Invitational Cup. And then you also will see Rowan's own Ethan Promise take on Dylan Mesh. Last time it was in that Rowan Cup where the Rowan After Hours Cup where Dylan Mesh was victorious against Ethan Promise by underhanded method. So now it's a rematch. You're going to see a lot of great professional wrestlers and only great professional wrestlers on this card.
Nice.
And then again, here's one that's going to be even cooler. Well, I don't know about cooler, but it's definitely going to be interesting. Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators will be wrestling on Sunday, June 14th at Big Bill's Barbecue in Vineland, New Jersey. So there's going to be instead of calling the All-American Bash, we're going to call it the All-American Barbecue Bash.
I like it.
You're going to see a lot of meat in the ring, and then you're going to go and get it smoked and steered and barbecued and sauced and smothered and whatever else at Big Bill's Barbecue. So make sure you come in there, get some great dog pro wrestling action. Right now, 3 out of the 4 championships will be defended. And I think the 4th one just hasn't been confirmed yet, but 3 out of the 4 championships have been confirmed, and the 4th one's on the way. So again, depending who the champions are at that event, you'll get to see them defend their championships at Big Bill's Barbecue and get some barbecue and watch dog pro wrestling action.
That's awesome.
So, and there's a lot more we're working on. A lot, and if they all come in fruition, there's going to be a lot of news in dog, but a lot of universities are negotiating with some other fairs. I know something possibly, even though it isn't confirmed yet, they're working for something in September for a big fair for one of the town fairs, and I know dog is really working hard for it to try to do an event on the 4th of July.
Wow.
So a lot of towns in New Jersey do 4th of July festivals with fireworks and everything, and dog is trying its best to be part of one of them because it's the 250th anniversary of this country, and who knows if there's going to be a 251st.
Wow, you heard it here first, folks. So that's going to do it for us this week. I'm excited to see what I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next for the NWA. Of course, next week, we're not going to have the World's Heavyweight Championship. That's going to be in 2 weeks' time. So next week's Power is just whatever. We'll get through it when we get there. But I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us. By the way, Double D thinks that your card that's coming up sounds like a great card. So
all of them are great because that's what Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators does. They bring the best of the best, the cream of the crop. And since there's no more under talented people working for dog, they're only going to see great professional wrestlers.
So that's going to do it for us this week. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Uh-oh.
Thank you for joining us this week on Alliance-Wrestling.com and the Alliance Guys podcast. Do you really want to become a big fan of the Alliance Guys podcast, Alliance-Wrestling.com? Make sure to add us on all our socials at the Alliance blog. I don't know if that music's meant to be playing, but anyway, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go to our sponsors and give them all the love, and then make sure you go to Alliance-Wrestling.com and get the t-shirt and the hat and all the other merchandise that Alliance-Wrestling.com happens. Make sure to check out the website. There's a lot of great stuff. On Tuesday nights or Monday nights or one of the damn nights, I don't know, you got the other Alliance Guys, and then you have the pre-party on Tuesday. So make sure you check that out. And we're going to see you at the matches.